Hi everybody, can you guess where I'm at? I'm at a place called ITC. I'm Ara Tapuzian, the Economic Development Director here for the City of Novi, and we've got another great episode of Corporate Review. I'm standing with Linda Blair. Linda's the Executive Vice President of this place. What do you do? What do you do here?
Well, thanks, Sarah, and thank you for having us on today. Well, ITC, we are the nation's largest independent transmission electric company. So all we do is we own, manage, operate high voltage electric transmission lines throughout the state of Michigan, as well as in Iowa, southern Minnesota, Illinois, as well as we have some transmission projects that we're in the process of constructing in Kansas and Oklahoma. So we have operations in 7 different states, but we're located right here in Novi.
We're going to take a complete, full tour of the facility. It took us only an hour to get in. That's a testament to wonderful security.
It's Fort Knox.
Fort Knox. So what's the neatest thing for us to start to go see?
Well, I think you have to go to the operations control room. I think that will really set the stage for what it is we do here every day. We're a 24/7 operation. I think you should see the control room. It would be akin to the Starship Enterprise.
Oh, terrific. Trekkie.
Yes.
Let's go. So Linda, control room for us to take a look at here. Talk a little bit about what we're seeing here as far as the grid goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Ari, this is what we refer to as our operations control room.
Yep.
And what you see in front of you here is the real-time monitoring and operations of the high voltage electric transmission grid, both here in Michigan and in portions of Iowa and southern Minnesota and western Illinois. So that's what you're seeing here. Over on the left side of the screen, this is an electrical representation of the transmission grid in the state of Michigan. Over on the other side of the room here is an electrical representation of the transmission grid in Iowa.
Okay.
And what we do here is we obviously monitor the status of the system 24/7.
Right.
And so this is a real-time monitoring system, and so there's computer and telephonic data that is being sent back and forth over computer and telephone networks that provides real-time information on, for example, the voltage levels on our system, the load on our system, what is the electrical demand. It gives us real-time information about what the the generating output is of generating stations throughout the system.
Okay.
And so all of that information, our controllers, our transmission operating controllers, they monitor this for any type of abnormal events. And if there were to be an abnormal event, there would be an alarm that would be set off. And they would, automatically on their computer screens, that alarm signal would come up, and then they would start the process to investigate what happened, why, and what do we need to do to get that piece of equipment presumably back into service.
So do they have the ability, and what the folks can't see on TV, there are a bunch of people down here in their stations, and can they redirect whatever that they need to redirect, depending on whatever the problem is?
Yes, they do have the ability to actually, electronically alter, if you will, or move equipment that would perhaps shut off a line, or they may re-energize a line.
Okay.
But it depends. It's largely situational. The other big responsibility that these folks have is we do a tremendous amount of work out in the field. We maintain our lines, we shut lines down because maybe we're building a new line. So the other big responsibility these folks have is they are constantly in coordination and communication with an actual person out in the field who's at maybe a transmission substation.
Right.
And they would be giving them direction on what pieces of equipment need to be shut down. And then the person out in the field has a certain process or procedure they need to follow, because you always want to have that real-time coordination and communication on what's going on with the system, primarily for protection and safety, because it is high voltage energized equipment.
And they're also monitoring weather. I mean, even a very minor weather storm of some kind, they have then the ability to change, and they're probably doing that all the time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What you can see, they have computer systems. You will often see one of the dedicated computer monitors they have is plugged into the weather channel.
Yep.
So they are constantly monitoring the weather, both from certain conditions like heat, if it's going to be extreme heat conditions, icing conditions, or if there's a thunderstorm, high winds. All of those types of events can cause situations on a transmission system. It can bring transmission lines down, it can cause outages. So we are constantly monitoring and and sort of assessing what's going to happen.
Right.
And for example, if we're going to have a really, really hot day,
Yeah.
then we may say we're going to do absolutely no work in the field today because we
Right.
can't afford to have any transmission lines out of service.
Right.
We need all of those lines to carry all the electrons they can.
Right.
So yeah, we constantly monitor
Sure, always
weather.
probably looking for cooler days to do work, whatever work you need to do is probably an optimum day for you.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
Cool days, moderate days. Typically it's the extreme weather events
Right.
that we avoid doing any work during.
So this is probably the most complicated looking grid that one could ever look at. But the one thing that stands out is how many miles of transmission lines does ITC manage in the entire grid? Let's say just in Michigan.
In Michigan, we manage approximately 8,000 miles of transmission lines.
Wow.
And in Iowa, we manage about 7,000 or 8,000 miles of transmission lines out there. So altogether, all of ITC, we have about 15,000 miles of high voltage electric transmission that we own, manage, and
Always adding to that, or?
Yep, absolutely. We have been, a pretty high growth company since we
Yes.
started back
Yeah.
in 2003. And we started with the transmission grid here in what we would call Southeast Michigan.
Right.
We then acquired an additional transmission system on the west side of the state of
Mhm.
Michigan. And then back in 2007, we acquired the high voltage transmission assets in Iowa and southern Minnesota, which gave us another, approximately 8,000 miles of transmission.
Right.
So yeah, we have been, growing significantly.
Yes.
We also have transmission projects that we are developing in Kansas and Oklahoma. So we actually, right here from Novi, we are operating in
Amazing.
7 states.
It's amazing. So if any of us had any kind of discretional cash, you would recommend buying some stock. Probably in ITC. Linda, talk to me about, really, let's go backwards a little bit, talk about the history. Why did ITC form and when? And certainly I'm leading into, because I know some of the answers for that, but why did ITC come to be?
Yeah, ITC got its start back in early 2003. The transmission assets were formerly part of DTE Energy.
Right.
And DTE underwent a process to look at selling, if you will, their transmission business or their transmission assets. And so that process and that effort culminated in early 2003, and that's how we got sort of our start, if you will. And really, we are a business. We are 100% high voltage electric transmission. That's all we do. We are singularly focused in electric transmission.
Right.
And, we have, since that time, we've been focused in, bringing that singular focus back into improving reliability on the transmission grid for the benefit of customers. We've been focused on how do we interconnect other sources of generation, primarily in our thumb region in Michigan, or in the case out in Iowa, huge initiatives to interconnect wind energy facilities. And the other big area for us that sort of drives, if you will, our focus and our growth is also in alleviating congestion on the transmission grid. Pretty much the transmission grid that we have in place today was put in place kind of back in the 1960s and 70s.
Yeah.
There's really been no meaningful investment back in the transmission grid, but we as consumers, we've doubled our electrical demand during that same time period with no meaningful upgrades or investment in transmission.
Which is a big problem in the future, and I've heard Joe talk about that as far as, hey, we've got, big problems here coming down the road. Even the pictures of what some of what the grid looks like is so archaic. How is that changing? How is that getting any better for the future? So we don't have another blackout.
Yeah, well, we've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
I think it would be hard pressed for any of us to stand here today and say that we would never see or experience another blackout. You fundamentally have a grid that's underinvested, and you've got aging equipment, aging infrastructure. And so not only do you have an aging infrastructure, but you also have increased demand on the system. And then now, kind of through sort of energy
Sure.
policy initiatives, we are now finding other ways in which to generate electricity. And so, you're no longer perhaps, getting your electricity from a coal plant. You may
Right.
now be looking to get it from, wind,
Right.
wind turbines.
Right.
And so there's a lot of new demands and additional burdens that are now on the system that weren't there years ago. And sort of the issue with transmission is you just can't build it overnight.
Yeah.
This takes years and years in
Oh,
the
yeah.
planning process, not to mention years and years in the construction process.
Sure.
So, when you look at kind of what are the demands and expectations, near term and long term, we as a state, we as a country have a long way to go to really prepare ourselves for, sort of the energy future that I think we all envision.
Absolutely. We're going to go walk outside. We're going to talk a little bit more, but get a good idea of ITC, what it looks like. Certainly everybody can kind of see it. So
Great.
why don't we go outside?
Absolutely, sounds good.
Great.
So we had to come outside, Linda, and we have to take a look at this building. 6 levels, 6 floors. Tallest building in Novi, maybe next to Providence Park Hospital. Let's talk about this, because obviously putting this all together here specifically, and I'm not sure the cameras can get all this. I mean, we're gonna take a walk for a little bit, but you've got water out this way, and behind us is Haggerty Road, and in front of us is M5. Talk about the process and how this building got designed and why this footprint in this area.
Sure, absolutely. Well, as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful building, six stories. And this really started when we, obviously through our growth, we were outgrowing the space that we were in. We were already in a facility at Orchard Hill Place in Novi.
Right.
And we were really looking to find a site that was still sort of easy access to I-275, given that's where our old location was. And it actually worked out that, back behind us here, we have one of a large transmission substation. So
Right.
we already owned, a large portion of the property that
Okay.
we're already standing on. So we actually thought, well, why not utilize the property that we already own? Obviously, that would be sort of better for customers.
Sure.
We'd have lower cost to purchase the facility. But what we have here is actually, given after the blackout, there was a lot of security requirements put in place where you have to secure your facility and your assets as it relates to high voltage transmission. And so this site did exactly that for it. As you can see, there's a lot of natural features that provide a natural barrier,
Right.
for entry to and access to the property. Obviously, the pond provides a sort of a moat,
Yep.
if you will.
Yeah.
There's a wooded area, and then we were able to secure the perimeter, if you will, through various fencing and other measures. But we actually, when we envisioned the building, and obviously we looked forward to determine, how big did we think ITC
Right.
was going to get, how many employees, how much square footage did we need. We also wanted to do it in a way that minimized the disruption on this beautiful campus.
Yep.
It's an 80-acre parcel, and only about 15 acres of it is buildable. And so that's why we have a tower, a 6-floor tower. It's why we have a parking garage, because we really wanted to minimize the disruption to the natural features on the property. So we actually set about working with the city about a year before this was constructed or finalized. And we went to the city and, we said to them, look, we really, we think we need 6 stories. Actually, at that time, Novi's ordinance only allowed for 5
Right.
stories. So the city was absolutely wonderful to work with. I think they recognized, obviously, the value in having a large corporation located right here in Novi. And so
Absolutely.
they really worked with us to understand our needs, where we were going, kind of our anticipated requirements. And the city really worked hand in hand with us all through the process to get us the site plan approval. Actually, this site behind me here, there's a large empty space.
Yep.
We actually have the site plan approval to twin this building
Yep.
if we ever needed to. So we wanted to do that. At the same time, we got the initial approval. Just makes things a lot easier if you only have to go
Oh,
in and
yeah,
get your
absolutely.
regulatory approvals once,
Right.
rather than twice. And so the city was an absolute delight to work with. And in fact, it had been our working relationship with the city of Novi that actually was another huge driver in why we decided to stay here in the city. They were real supportive and constructive to work with.
Well, it's definitely a partnership. I mean, when you're going to build and do something like this, it has to be a partnership. Joe Welsh, we've referred to Joe a little bit here and there, has always made the sort of the joke, but it's not really a joke about, I need this to get done the same time as my condo is getting prepared or whatnot. And so how long did this exactly take from beginning to end?
I think, probably hard to believe, but this actually took from stem to stern, it took 13 months.
Yeah.
From conception to, the initial plans, the renderings, to
Yeah.
when we made the initial visits and meetings
Yep.
with the city to it being ready for us to get the certificate of occupancy was actually a 13-month process, which is unheard of
Yeah.
in, most communities, unheard of to get a facility.
Well, especially the complexity too. This is not your, run-of-the-mill brick and mortar building. I mean, you've
Right.
got a lot of alternative energy, energy saving measures that are going on there, and even security going
Right.
on there. We joked earlier we could have done a show just on getting into ITC. It's not a this is not something where you walk in off the street and knock on a door saying I'm selling pens or T-shirts. Talk a little bit about the security and what goes into putting something like that together, and then also the energy savings that go into putting it into a building like this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Era. There are many sort of behind the scenes features, if you will, to this
Yeah.
building and this facility. And as you mentioned, the security, obviously the perimeter security starts with at our front gates, if you will. We also have security features throughout the building, electronic card readers, thumbprint readers, various other controlled access to various parts of the facility in the building. So there's a lot of behind the scenes security features. When we built the building, we wanted to make it as energy efficient as possible.
Right.
And that's why we utilize a lot of glass in the
Yep.
building. We want to let as much natural light come in. So that is utilized to light the workspace. We have various forms of fluorescent lighting, energy efficient fluorescent lighting, and it's positioned in such a way that it sort of evenly lights the workspace, not task lights. We have other features. Our heating, air conditioning actually comes from the floor,
Yep.
so that it is more conducive to heating, cooling the space of the user, as opposed to heating, cooling the empty space, the 6 feet
Right.
that is above our head. So we went to a lot of extra effort to try to make the building as efficient as possible. And some of the other features that aren't visible to the eye, because we are a 24/7 operation, we do perform a critical public service. We try to, keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
We have, 3 standby generators in the event that we were to lose power, such as the blackout. So we have backup generators. We have various backup oil, gasoline,
Right.
to help us, keep certain functions and machines and whatnot operating. So there is this, like you said, this is not your run-of-the-mill office building. There is significant infrastructure features that are sort of in this building that
So-
aren't clearly visible.
So if power goes out, I'm knocking on your door.
If the power goes out, I think the lights would still be on here at ITC.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, and speaking of which, I mean, if you're driving by M5, this is a beautiful thing lit up at night. It's really definitely the pinnacle of our community. How many employees now at ITC?
ITC has approximately 450 employees total,
Okay.
full-time
Yep.
employees. Here in this Novi facility, we have about 375. The rest of our
Okay.
employees are spread throughout Michigan or in Iowa, Minnesota, Washington, D.C.
Sure.
But 375 full-time employees. But we also have a large contract field force,
Right.
which would probably account for almost another 1,000 employees at any
Okay.
given time.
Yeah. While we're outside, let's hit the nature trail.
Absolutely.
Get a little exercise
Okay.
and talk a little bit more. Why don't we?
You're not going to make me jog, are you?
No,
Okay.
because I'm not jogging. So we're in the fitness trail, and if you can't tell with all the vegetation and whatnot, there's gnats everywhere. So if viewers at home see us going like this, it's not a cue to stop. But let's talk a little bit about why does ITC have this designed? Is this for the employees? Obviously for the employees, but why is this important?
Yeah, this is our fitness trail. It's approximately a 1 mile loop around the perimeter through the woods on our property.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a feature to take advantage of the property, the beautiful setting that we have.
Right.
But it also ties in with sort of our overall philosophy, both as it relates to sort of wellness, employee, initiatives around wellness, as well as being a good corporate citizen. We've
Yeah.
tried to do a lot both here on our property, environmentally. We talked a little bit about some of the features on the inside of the building, but we've done a lot, externally with a lot of our communities, a lot of the organizations to help support organizations that have a tie-in with the environment. And so, right here on our property, for example, we have Wildlife at Work certification. So we've done a lot of, made a lot of, sort of amenities. We built in a
Right.
lot of amenities onto this campus. Our interpretive garden, if you will, our fitness
Yeah.
trail. We do certain species control, Phragmite control. They're an invasive weed species. So we try to do a lot right here on our campus to show and demonstrate our commitment to
Right.
the environment. But it's really part of our bigger, larger initiative.
Sure.
And that is to be a good corporate citizen.
Yes.
And
Which ITC certainly is, and
Yeah.
has been from the very beginning.
well, you know, we own right here in Michigan over 7,000 miles of high voltage electric transmission, and those corridors run through many of the communities in which we work in and live in. And so it's part of our way to give back to the community.
Right.
And so, for example, you know, we've been partners with the city of Novi. We have the ITC Community Sports Park.
Yeah.
You know, it's really just part of our overall philosophy that we want to be good corporate partners and good corporate citizens in all of the communities in which we touch and which we serve. So we.
And you yourself, you're very active. You're a Novi resident.
I am,
and,
yes, yep.
You are part of the Novi Parks Foundation and
Yep,
very active member.
I am. I'm myself, my family, my kids. We're Novi schools.
Yep.
We absolutely love Novi, love the community.
Yeah.
Great place to work and to live and to play.
Yep.
And like you said, yeah, I am president of the Novi Parks Foundation, so I really have a real passion around the park system and
Yeah.
providing recreational opportunities for everyone, young and old alike. And so, you know, I give my spare time to the Novi Parks Foundation as well as other community efforts to try to really make it a better place. I think everybody should step up and just give a little bit back to the community.
Well, we're very appreciative. I mean, certainly ITC is the translation of that word for us is good corporate citizen, and certainly we're very pleased with having you folks here. What's the future hold for ITC?
Well, you know, it's certainly difficult to have the crystal ball and say
Yeah.
specifically, but I can certainly, you know, tell you our hopes, our intentions.
Yeah.
You know, our hopes and intentions is that we continue to grow and to expand into other areas of the country that are in sorely need of transmission development. That would give us a platform for growth, and so, you know, kind of our mission.
Yep.
You know, and obviously we want to be recognized as sort of the best-in-class transmission provider. You know, we want to be the best in everything we do, it keeping the lights on, it being the most
Right.
efficient, the most reliable, the most effective. So, you know, our goal is to be the best in class at everything that we do, and so we take our role and our responsibility seriously. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's if our phone's not ringing, you know, we're doing our job. That means the lights didn't go out, and so that's our goal.
Well, this is a perfect spot to end the show. That's a perfect comment to end it. If viewers want more information on ITC to look on the web, where should they go?
Yeah, they can go to our website, which is itc-holdings.com,
Terrific.
and find more information there.
Great. Linda,
Great.
thank you.
Era, thank you for having us.
Always a
Thank
pleasure.
You.
Thank
Yep,
you.
Bye-bye.
That wraps it up for Corporate Review. Again, I'm Ara Tapuzian, your Economic Development Director here for the City of Novi. If you want some more information on economic development, also there's some information on ITC in there as well. Check out investnovi.org. Until next time, thank you.